Okay, so now we have our fabric laid out. This fabric was short. I had to add 2 extra sides. Remember, if it's short and you have to add fabric, you're going to make 2 seams. You don't want one random seam just on this huge board and 1 seam. That doesn't work unless you're doing in the middle and then there's a jabot or something decorative hanging to hide it. If it's going to be a clean flat board, then it should be the same on each side. So it's a pattern. I pattern matched it. So this is where my seam is here. You can see it goes. We want to continue it. You wouldn't do something crazy. It has to look like you don't really want to see the seam, in other words. So here's my board. I have, obviously there's way too much fabric. I just put it on there. I'll cut it after I find where I want it to sit. So how much room is on this side has to be exact on the other side. So right now the seam sitting here, the end of the board is way over here. That's not going to work. So we are going to have to figure out, you can measure. I usually eyeball and go off of that. So remember, your seams should line up in the same spot on both sides. I have a lot of extra fabric, so you're going to go over the board. You see my board's not very thick. I have a lot extra. You're going to want a couple of inches over in the back, because what we do, no one wants to see an ugly board. So on the other side, we're going to put white fabric, white lining, so you don't see the board. But you're going to see a little bit of the fabric. So you're going to want to leave a couple of inches over. But this is way more than a couple of inches. I'm going to use that and I'm going to cut it straight down. I'm adding a cord according to mine, so that's what this is. So my board's going to have a cord, so I cut a strip, and then with a straight stitch, you'll stitch that all the way down. Of course, it's not going to be attached. I'm just showing you, but that's what this is. So that's what mine's going to have, a cording all the way down. So I'm gonna cut a strip, because I need to make two long ones. I'm doing one on top, I'm doing one on bottom. Does your board need cording? No, you don't need it. You can do without it. It could be flat, or you can cheat and buy decorative cording. I had this laying around. I wouldn't put this on this. You see it has a lip, so you would add that and staple it on top. So there's different options for your boards. A lot of times you just leave this with nothing, and the bottom could have fringe. You want to make it more fancy. So there's all kinds of things to do with the board. But what I'm doing is cording. I make my own cording. I match it to the board. So I got to cut a couple of strips off. And then I'm going to cut my sides, because they're way longer than they need to be. So once I figure out where exactly I want it to land, I'm going to leave extra room for it to go over to the back. So then I'll cut those down. Once I have all of that, then I'll be ready to start my stapling.